to traits, to orders, which are for your pets, general, such as things like limit break, which is strangely not on your bar when you start the game. You want to, by the way, you want to get them onto your hotbar, hit square. And then put them on the bar. Duty action. Don't worry about that, Stormblood. Repair. That's a good one. Then you got main commands, duty commands, logs, travel, etc. Now, Cowie asks, how do I remove actions? That's a great question. I put 4 limit breaks on there. I don't need to have 4 limit breaks. Well, hold right trigger in this case, if it was this on left trigger, right? Then hit select to edit your hotbars. Then grab limit break. Now, instead of moving, just click the same thing again and delete it from your hotbar. Done. Now, let's pull... I would recommend this to everyone. I genuinely mean this. I would recommend to get rid of every single one of these. Because you use them very rarely. Very rarely. I would then also tell you to get rid of these. Every single one. Clean bar. All clean. Okay? By the way, if there's ever something you want to do to something and you want to have like an idea of how to do it, select them, hit square. It'll let you do shit like emote at the Wharf Rat. Alright, now that we're all clean, we're going to have to change some of our character configuration, right? So, say your weapon's out. Do you need teleport? Do you need return? No. No, you don't. That's stupid. So we'll go down to hotbar settings. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to enable expanded hotbar controls with L2 and R2. And we're going to put these on left and right. Number 2. Got it? You got it? Number 2. I keep it number 2. This is going to be easy for demo reasons. So, as you can see, when you go into actions, there's actually a huge amount of actions. Now, you don't have a job yet, so they haven't all shown up. But there's at least Ruin, there's Summon Carbuncle, there's Radiant Aegis, Physic, right, Aether Charge, Ruby, Gemshine, Fester, Energy Drain. Man, you're getting a lot of buttons. Oh man. At the end of this, I'm on set 8. Oh, that's fine. Let's just use, for example, because Summoner eventually gets a lot of attack buttons. Let's say you had... Oh, I'm fighting something. My mistake. Let's say I had just... Oh my god, there's so many attack buttons. Oh man. Oh, there's so many. They're not all ruined, but there's a lot. And yeah, let's just say there's just like so many that crap. I've actually run out of space. I've run out of space. I have more than 16 buttons. Where am I going to put those buttons? Well, luckily, you went in and turned on expanded hotbar controls. So what that's going to do is if I hold left trigger and right trigger, I'll get the left side of hotbar 2. And if I hold right trigger and left trigger, I'll get the left side of hotbar 2. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means I can put stuff like Summon Carbuncle down here, and Physic, and Aether Charge. So that if I want to use something that's a little out of the way, I can do so. Now I have access to all the right ones, all the left ones, all the left ones on the back bar, and all the left ones, all the right ones on the back bar. I'm now up to 32 buttons, which is all you're going to need for 99% of content. But what if I wanted more buttons? What if I wanted 16 more buttons? You'd go to character, and you'd do enable expanded cross hotbar with simultaneous double tap. And you would set those to whichever of your choice. Right now it's set to cross hotbar 8. That's fine. Well, what would I want to put on cross hotbar 8? Oh, I don't know. What about something like... something I don't use all that often, right? What would a move I don't use all that often be? I don't know. Limit break? If I actually ever find the fucking thing. Where is limit break on this thing? General? Really? Oh, general, of course. Limit break! So, limit break is... yeah, it's like your ult. After a long fight, you can gain limit break 1, 2, 3 bars. And then... why are we teaching you? There's some details I've forgotten over the years. So, you're fighting. I'm using Ruin. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Yes. Oh, it's time for limit break. Well, now that I've set it on my expanded cross hotbar, I can hold right, left to get this, or I can double tap. Oh, that's not large enough. We need enable directional and action buttons so that I can have the full extra bar. So now, with right trigger, right trigger, right trigger, left trigger, double tap, right trigger, double tap, left trigger, you now have 48 buttons to use. This is more than you would ever need. Ever. Ever. Also, if you're used to actually using your abilities and you can recognize them by their symbols, like I can tell you that that's Ruin 1 even if it didn't have the little text, you can go and it's in here somewhere. There's a button here. Display recast. You definitely want that. Where is it? Display control guide. There we go. No, that's the wrong one. What is it? It's in here somewhere. Display hotbar help. There it is. Now it's nice and clean. Right? Now, let's say, for example, you had a move on Summoner that had a long cast time, such as Swift Cast. You can only you can see in the bottom right, you can only cast it every 60 seconds. Right? And let's say your hotbar was completely full of fucking shit. Everything's full, right? And it has to go on the second bar, right? Well, then you run into a weird problem. And the weird problem is, Swiftcast is only available every 60 seconds, but you don't want to actually have to swap back here to actually see that it's available, right? That's annoying. That would waste time. This is when you engage into the nightmare that is the HUD layout screen. So I have used the HUD layout screen to do all sorts of shit, right? So for example, I take my mini-map and I jam it as far up into the corner as it'll go. I take my server info and make it super tiny and put it over here. Such as that, right? But for your ease of use, the most important one is going to be hotbars. So turn off system, right? Just so you can see it. You're going to see, oh, where's hotbar 1? Well, it's actually a PC hotbar that's, you know, just in the side of your cross hotbar. And it's currently invisible, right? What about hotbar 2? What about hotbar 3? right? Well, what if we used hotbar 7, 5? Where is that one? Hotbar 10. My favorite hotbar of all. Use the right analog stick to move it, and you can place that shit anywhere you like. Right? You can move it anywhere. Now you'd be like, why the fuck, Pat, are you using a hotbar when you can't actually even, you know, do anything with it? You can't click it with your mouse. Well, we can turn on hotbar 10, for example, like that. Now hotbar 10's right there. And then what we can do is go into actions, use our digital mouse, and we can drag this down to hotbar 10. Now, you know what you'll see? You'll see Swiftcast. Oh, how do I turn on the transparency settings? Oh, hide display. That's what it is. Now, there is a button to make it so that all these unassigned slots are gone. I believe it is in character configuration, hotbar settings, and it's hide unassigned slots. There you go. So now it looks like that. And if you want to move it, you can move it wherever. And if you want it to be really big, because Swiftcast is important, you can do this shit and make it really big. And now you'll always know that Swiftcast is ready or not. You'll always know. Always know. So after you're done doing all of this stuff, what you definitely want to do is log out. Oh, are the icons not set to HD? Where is that option? Where is that? That's so funny. That's not like on. That's not. I passed it twice. Of course I did. UI resolutions at high. Yeah, no, I think you just might be crazy. How do you hit a button? Possum Walsh asks, how do you hit that button? Does it pop on the L2, R2 bar also? So the reason why you would put it on like hotbar 10 to live off to the side is purely so that you know it's off cooldown. To actually hit it, you would just have it wherever the fuck it is. So you end up with like a lot of duplicates, right? You have a lot of duplicate bar buttons, like, so that's purely for visuals. So now we're going to log out, or actually we're going to go back to town and log out because it'll be faster. And then I'll switch to my real character and I can show you exactly how I do it and what I use it for. So, let's log out. Goodbye, testing guy. We're going to switch to... And remember, after you did all that shit, back up your character setting so you don't lose all that. Oh, I got to change my data center. Well, first I'm going to delete this guy. Sorry, dude. Bye, testing guy. You're dead. Yeah, it's not automatic. You definitely need to do it manually. So now we're going to be loading in as my Dark Knight, which is a character that I've spent many years on. And we're going to be using the Dark Knight class. No, not the Dark Knight class. We'll be using Warrior. Character that you're the most likely to start with if you're tanking. All right. So, if you look at my bars now, you're going to immediately notice why all that unclickable shit is there. All of this is stuff that I can't actually hit on the main bars. They're all stuff that exists on the back bars. But I need to know if reprisal is available. I need to know when I can cast Disesteem. I need to know when Living Dead will come off cooldown. But since they're in the back, I can't see them all the time. So I have them all set up like so. If we go into HUD layout, you'll see that I turned hotbar 7 and hotbar 8 into these little boxes, and then spent tons and tons and tons of time making it line up just nice. Don't worry about that inventory. Right? So now we're going to go down to the easiest place to do this, which is Castrum Oriens in Stormblood. Oh, there's a fade over there. Oh, don't worry about that. Anyway, Castrum Oriens has this nice training dummy that you can use. Right? I gotta turn that, I gotta change that. Oh, that's way better. Holy hell. That's way better. I like that. Anyway, so we're just gonna go over here. So, I know my Dark Knight super well. Goldsmith? That's clearly not right. So, here's my warrior. Right? So one of the things you might have just seen, actually, is I went to gear set list. Let's say you were starting a new character, like I was earlier, and you got a second job because you felt like it. You felt like going down and getting a second job, right? You're like, wow, this is incredible. I'm a warrior and I'm also a paladin. So what do? Right? You end up like, oh, I'm going to equip the warrior weapon, right? I'm going to equip the axe. Oh, I changed into a warrior. Well, what about my gear? Well, hit recommended gear. And it's just going to load all that in. Right? Then hit triangle to save that. Now, if you don't have anything, create a new gear set. It'll be called Marauder. Why? Because there's no job stone. Equip your job stone. Do you see at the bottom of the screen the enormous amount of crossed out moves? These moves don't exist. It's because I haven't played Marauder since fucking A Realm Reborn. Fracture's been gone for 10 years. That shit doesn't exist. Put your job stone on. It's really important. Anyway, then hit triangle to save it. Hey, look at that. You have a gear set. Now, you have a gear set that you can use. What's the purpose of the gear set? Well, if, I don't know, you have a bunch of gear sets, you can... Hold on a second. For example, say there's a lot of classes you like to play. Like you like to play tanks. Go to character. Hit square. Set to hotbar. Now tank is now Dark Knight's a button. Now paladin's a button. Now warrior's a button. Now gunbreaker's a button. Now when you're out in the world and you're like, I would like to play the video game as Dark Knight, just tap it. I'd like to play as a gunbreaker. Just tap it. It's useful. I actually have Scholar down here, but that's not the point. Now, one of the things that I am not using, so I have my regular job buttons, as you would expect. I have these on the back, and I have these on the back. But my double clicks are not fight-oriented. My double taps are actually my mount, and this dance emote, and orange juice, and my macro that doesn't work, which tells everyone I'm watching the baby, so I might freeze. It's stuff like repair everything, desynthesis, take materia out. Basically, all the little things that I would like use all the time but aren't like fight related. However, you might have noticed also. Why orange juice, asks. Well, orange juice is the cheapest food item in the game, and when you equip a food item, you get a 29-minute buff that gives you 3% XP. How do you change which hotbars double tap targets? Is it under hotbar settings? It is under hotbar settings. You go to you go to custom, and you pick which ones go to where. Right? So, this is where it gets really fun. Say you want more useful items. Like I have a bar that's just for teleport, just for chocobo shit, and switching jobs. Set 7. You go into character, you go to hotbar. Enable customization for weapon is sheathed. When my weapon is sheathed, I will switch between hotbar 1 and 7 by tapping R1. I could hold and do whatever, but tapping R1 will switch between these two, which is fighting and useful shit, right? If I go to here, you'll see that there's actually a weapon thing for 1 and 3. So when my weapon is out, it doesn't switch between 1 and 7, which is useful shit like, you know, teleport. It switches between these two sets of combat abilities. And there's a reason I have it set up that way. So let's switch to warrior. And let's take everything off warrior. Every single thing off warrior. Every single one. Now this part is going to be primarily tank focused because I'm a tank main, but it does work for every class. Now, one of the things that you should know is that I'm going to show you the babyest version of this, because I'm going to assume anyone needing to learn any of this stuff is a little baby, right? So, let's talk. Hello. Whoa! Hello? Are we still here? Yo, that's crazy. I got a brown out and I'm still logged in. That's wild as hell. My camera never died? So you got to see like the flashing lights and shit? Cool. Router didn't reset. Yeah, that's wild as fuck. Thanks, Universal Power Supply. Anyway. Yeah, I bet the camera fucking stuttered. All right. Back we are, anyway. Camera has audio delay. You might want to just reset. Or restart. All right. Anywho. All right, so I'm going to teach you what I call cross hotbar theory. Because I'm insane. I'm completely nuts. And I overthink where my buttons go. Now, everyone's buttons are going to be completely different. Everything that I may say that may be good for me, you may go, I don't like that, I think that's stupid. Right? However, you might take something out of it that you do find of value. So the first things first, it might be tempting once you get your job. At one point you'll get a job crystal. And what's going to happen is your action bar is going to change from this to this. Which is a lot. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're actually, you know, it's a lot, right? So we're going to go real slow, right? So the first things first, your almost every class is going to have a combo, particularly melee people. What do you want your combo starter to be? For me, that button is square. Heavy swing, level 1, square. It feels good for me to hit square as the start of my combo. That just seems totally normal to me. You may prefer it to be on circle. The game starts it on circle, in fact. Right? Not really important. What is important, however, if you're using a controller, is that buttons you're going to be hitting all the time while moving should be on your face buttons. Because moving and hitting the D-pad is fucked. So for me, for example, the basic combo of heavy swing, maim, and Storm's Path goes square, X, circle. Some people like it like this. Some people like it like this. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you should think about what is personally most comfortable to you when moving around. Now, with these buttons as is, I can easily do all sorts of stupid shit while moving. It's not a problem. It's actually really simple. Right? You're going to be moving during combat, so you want to be able to hit those easily. Right? Now, for example, you're going to learn something called a roll action. Now, a roll action is fairly specific. It's things that every type of class or job that you have does. All tanks, for example, have Rampart. All tanks have Low Blow and Provoke because it's part of their core tanking kit. Because these moves are shared between multiple jobs, it is my opinion that they should all go in the same spot on every job. That way, you never wonder where the fuck Rampart is, or Reprisal. This is the following mentality for where I've placed them. Personally, I think the tank cooldown 1 goes on the left trigger and left D-pad. Regardless of where you actually put it, the D-pad is just better for something that you're going to be using once every 90 seconds. Because that's how long Rampart lasts. Sorry, that's how long Rampart takes. Well, if Rampart is on the left D-pad, then the AoE version of Rampart, Reprisal, should go behind it into left trigger, right trigger. So it lives behind it in the same spot. But since Reprisal is now hidden, we're going to have to drag it down so we can see it. So now we have Rampart, and now we have Reprisal, and we can see it. Well, similarly, Low Blow and Interject are essentially the same move. The difference is that one interrupts and the other stuns. Interject is more useful than Low Blow is, but they both essentially do similar things. So Interject would go on the right D-pad, and Low Blow would go on the back right D-pad. And again, because Low Blow is now no longer visible, we're going to have to put it down there so you can see it. How's an interrupt better than a stun? Cooldown? Interrupts in FF14 are designated by a specific iconography on the enemy that says you can interrupt this, and it's guaranteed, whereas a stun is more of a general purpose thing that starts getting resisted all the time. Right. Now, if you want to not use my hotbar technology that I have here, somebody pointed out you can, in fact, use a display. Where is it? There's something you can display. You can show the goddamn cross hotbar the whole time. Always display. Right? That's actually, ironically enough, showing the wrong one. But hey. Regardless. So there, now we got that. Well, if Rampart is on the left and Interject is on the right, in my heart of hearts, all tanks have 2 defensive cooldowns, a weak one and a strong one. So I put Thrill of Battle up here, and I put Vengeance down here. Now we go down to roll. And wouldn't you know it, Arm's Length has some anti-knockdown stuff, but it also has a slow when enemies hit it. So it's kind of like Vengeance. And like so, we put it over here. Now I forget what's actually on the top. Ah, right. So, I have my cooldown up here, Thrill of Battle. Well, tanks all have an AoE cooldown. For Warrior, it's called Shake It Off. And look at that. I now have it set up. All my tank defensive cooldowns are all nice and placed. Right? However, there is one tank cooldown that every tank gets that they're going to be using way, way, way more often. That's your primary defensive cooldown. For Warrior, it's something called Bloodletting. Now, you get it pretty late. Before that, I think it's called Nascent Glint. As a result, I have a special place for this. I have a big button to put it. Oh, it's called Raw Intuition later? Thank you. The biggest button of all. And also, I like to set this up so that it's visually appropriate if you squint your eyes and turn it diagonal. So, bloodletting, or bloodwetting, or raw intuition, they're all upgrades. Right? It's going to live with in the back with these defensive cooldowns. So I can hit it, and that nice 24 is going to show up all the time. So you know, there's a Sheltron equivalent for Paladin, Blackest Night for Dark Knight, as well as, I don't know what the goddamn Gunbreaker one is. But regardless, right? Alright, so now we've got our defenses. But you're a tank, right? Heart of Corundum and Storm, right? You're a tank. What about Shirk and Provoke? And also, why the fuck would you use Shirk and Provoke? Well, let's go look at what Shirk and Provoke are, because they're really important, and they're poorly used. So, Provoke is something you cast on an enemy and go, hey, look at me, fuckhead! Stop attacking the other tank! Look at me! Hit me now! The reason why you would do that is if, one, somebody fucked up and pulled aggro on something they shouldn't have and you need them over in your face right now. Or two, which is much more commonly, the boss hit your friend, the other tank, with a move that will kill them if it hits them twice. So they get hit once, you hit Provoke, and go, hey, no, hit me the second time with that. And then everybody lives and is happy. Your friend, while you provoke, decides to shirk, which makes the boss extra mad at you instead. Now, there is an issue with provoke and shirk, right? And that issue is very simple. Shirk needs to be targeted. You need to actually click on your tank friend and hit shirk. And you know what? That can be a little awkward. Right? It can be awkward. We'll put shirk right here. Provoke right here. Hit down on the D-pad once? Well, my friends, I have a solution. What if you didn't want to hit down on the D-pad? What if you went over to user macros and you made tank macro 2 and your shirk macro? What if you made it so that when you want... What's that macro script? All right, I'll show you. What if you made it so that you wanted to hit a button and would always go on the second person? Yeah, I'm going to need to... Is anyone playing the game right now on stream? Sorry, on Ultros? I'm gonna need a partner for some of this. Can you all come out here where I'm at Castrum Oriens? Oh, that's not the right guy. Great. And we'll invite you too. So, in a normal party of 4, once you get into a dungeon, if you're a tank, the healer is number 2, who's the most important person aside from you. And in an 8-man, the other tank is the second person on the party list. What does this mean? That means if you make a user macro, which is AC, which is action, whatever, quote, the name of every tank move, end quote, space, and then 2 inside these little brackets, you can use this to auto-cast your tank cooldown on the second one. And when your tank, you're having to do shirks and shit, what you end up doing is you shirk by hitting this, which is the same one. Because who the fuck are you ever gonna shirk other than the other fucking tank? Ever. So, the way that I have it set up, and the reason why Bloodwetting is here and Shirk is here. You know what, Hydra? I'm gonna have to kick you out. Bye. So, say Argus here. Argus, could you attack the dummy? So Argus is going to start fighting the dummy. We're going to pretend that this is